Welcome to the Dino and Joe Show. This man over here is Dino, and that man over there, his name is Joe.
Greetings, salutations,
And remembrances. I don't know.
Oh.
All of it. So, question for you.
Answer for you.
Is your gamer tag easy to figure out based on you, or is it something completely made up that you're like, no one's ever gonna know it's me?
It's the easiest thing you could possibly guess.
All right, cool.
There's nothing. So I am not original with
Is it
that type
your
of thing.
first name and last name?
First name, last initial, and then my favorite number. That's literally.
Oh, there you go.
It's
Right.
nothing. It's nothing complicated. So here's the
Yeah.
thing. I don't. The Xbox don't play a ton. Like there's some games, like for instance, we have our company is very big on giving back to the community and donating stuff. And there's
Yeah.
a thing called Extra Life,
Yes.
which helps children in the hospital. So every time you game, if you play it through here and stream it on there, you know you can get donations and all that stuff, and it's a great cause. And I'll always do that. I'll never not do that. But on my own, I just don't have time to play video games anymore on the Xbox. But back in the day, I was Come on.
What? Which system? Come on.
Okay. The system that will be my favorite of all time.
Yeah.
Nintendo 64.
Oh no.
Best system of all time.
Not even.
So I'm fortunate.
You're not going back far enough.
So here's the thing. I enjoyed NES and SNES. Those are great.
What?
Tiff even has those.
Before that, my friend.
If you say like a Commodore or like an Atari.
Absolutely. Let's just start with the first video game system I owned was the Atari 2600. And I went through all the game generation, right? Yeah. So when you think about, well, first of all, the first game I had was Pong.
Yes.
I had the Pong console.
Okay.
And so it was like, so Pong eventually became an individual controller, but the version we had, it was one like oval console, and it had the two dials, and you had to sit next to each other. And let me tell you that Pong became Combat Pong, because like it wasn't like those games would go on forever.
Sure.
And so what you would do is you would hit the ball, and then as they were going to hit it, you'd reach over and bump them and try and make them spin so that their controller would, their little
outstanding
bracket guy would like move out of the way and they would miss. So I had Pong. Then I remember we got the Atari, and we got the Atari for Christmas, and my mom and dad decided that they wanted to try it out. So they hooked it up and played it all Christmas Eve before they gave it to us on Christmas. I'm not kidding. My parents were video gamers. They would go to the arcade and play Asteroids and Pac-Man and Centipede, right? So yeah, I did Atari. My buddy had Intellivision, and I was very jealous because Intellivision had better graphics, right? It was a better looking system, and it had baseball. And except for you could never like fly out because everything, was linear, just hit.
Right.
And then I remember my other buddy had ColecoVision. And that's where Donkey Kong first went, was to ColecoVision, and it looked like the video arcade game. Very envious. But yeah, I went from there, and then I went into then I went into Nintendo, and then into PlayStation, and then into Xbox, and I'll have been through all the systems. Yeah. Sega Genesis had that one too.
I think the one I didn't have was Sega Genesis. That was the only one I didn't have. I had all of the Nintendos. I had all of the Nintendos.
So N64 was your favorite.
Oh, yeah. And there's one game that to this day
had to be GoldenEye.
Of course it was.
Had to be GoldenEye.
Of course it was.
That literally is the game. Isn't that? It's such a defining game for people.
With it. Yep. I could tell you, I remember the level that I will beat you at any level. But there's one level that you stand zero chance in.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. Like zero chance. It's the Russian bunker. It's the Russian bunker.
The Russian bunker.
Yep, 100%. So I will, but it's funny when I don't know, maybe 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
I had an Xbox, but I also had my N64. I still have my N64. It's set up. And my friends and I were like, hey, let's play. They just came out with a new GoldenEye for the Xbox.
Yeah.
let's have a day of gaming where we play N64 in the first part, and we'll play
Yeah.
the Xbox in the second part. Well, I got my good old clear controller for the N64.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of this Z button, boom, 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 cleaned up. No question. Nobody stood a chance. Then we played the Xbox version, and wow, am I terrible at that, because it is completely different. There's something about the way the N64 controller, how you hold it in the middle with the little Z button underneath and use the thumbstick.
Right.
It's so much easier to control. There's no question. So that was a day of beginning of highs, and I crushed down terribly when I tried to play something on the Xbox.
See, I remember too the branching off of computer games versus console games, right?
Yes.
And my buddy went into computing games,
Mhm.
and computers were his thing, and he went that direction with gaming, right? And I remember he played there was a game he played. It was a very old game called Fantasy, and it
Okay.
was like first of a role playing type of game that hit in that computer world. I stayed on console. And so there's this big separation of
Yep.
like being able to play games, right? Because I never really got into the computer games. He never really got into the console games. And I ended up just continuing to be a console gamer. I'm still not a computer gamer. Now my kids
Yeah.
will play
Same.
on computer, they'll play on console, they'll play on their phone, whatever. But I love consoles. Like that to me is gaming, and that's how I grew up gaming. And so that's where I pretty much stay. I don't really like keyboard controls and mouse and everything. Like
I'm
I
exactly
like
the
the
same
control,
way.
right? And I know you can use a computer controller on the computer now, blah blah blah, right? But for me, like that's it. I console game, and I game a lot. I love gaming, and I'll play a lot of stuff. But I will tell you the big things for me: Assassin's Creed.
Okay.
I've played every one. I've solved every one.
Okay.
Those are my favorite games. And then right now I'm playing Far Cry 6.
Okay.
Do a lot of first person shooters. And then FIFA. That's always a big one
Of
in our house.
course.
Usually, if the kids are losing, they'll be like, "Hey, Dad, can you score me a goal?" They'll hand me the controller, and I'll go score it.
Boom,
And
boom, boom, boom. There
yeah,
it
right,
is.
exactly. Hey, there you go. And then I'm trying to think what else. Like, yeah, the big ones for me are like Assassin's Creed's like probably the biggest game that I play. I think I was ranked at one time when they were
Oh,
doing rankings,
yeah.
and then I kind of filtered off of that because you don't have I find I have blocks of time, and then I'll go for long stretches and not be able to play.
Yeah.
But I'll try and play whatever's out there just to play it and see what it is. I really enjoy games.
My favorite game on Xbox was, without question, Sunset Overdrive. Do you remember that game?
Oh
Came out in
yeah,
like 2014.
yeah, absolutely.
I loved that game because it was so silly, stupid. It was
Yep,
like,
yep,
it wasn't difficult, but it wasn't easy. It was just a fun thing to do. Like apparently this city drank an energy drink that basically turned everybody into like killer zombies.
yeah,
And you're
yeah,
like the one person who has to do all these different challenges. And you have to, like, literally, if you don't grind a skateboard or grind your shoes
yeah,
on a
yeah,
balcony, if you don't like parkour all over the walls
yeah.
and jump ridiculous things that you could never physically do,
Sure.
you would actually lose like health. So you had to do that stuff
Yeah,
to get around. It was so much fun. That is
yeah,
one game that I will always play. World War Z is another one. It's kind of a
yeah,
first person shooter where,
yep.
uh, zombies are taking. Apparently, I have a zombie theme in my Xbox games.
It happens.
Um, but the Switch, the Nintendo Switch, that is really the one thing that kind of got me gaming again a little bit. And it got Tiff and I gaming together. We do like Super Mario Party,
Yeah,
Mario Kart 8,
right.
and on Xbox or the Switch, any Lego game. If you don't
Oh
play Lego
yeah,
games, you have
love
to.
the Lego games.
They are
Absolutely.
the most fun you could play. Jurassic Park, Star Wars.
Oh, all
There
the
was
Star Wars.
Harry Potter's,
Oh yeah,
Lego Batman, Marvel superheroes, DC villains.
yeah.
It's so much fun.
So my
It's
my wife, who's not really a gamer, and she's
sure.
not really someone to sit down and play a video game,
Mhm.
played every one of the Harry Potter Legos.
Of
Like
course,
she
it's
loved
so
them.
much fun.
Yeah. Yeah, they're I mean,
So
and
much
they
fun.
are. And they're easy to do, they're easy to comprehend, and quite honestly, there's some humor in there, which
Wait,
it's kind of silly sometimes, which is good.
I'm gonna challenge you. I
Hmm.
was playing Xbox, or I'm sorry, I was playing the Xbox version of Lego Batman,
Yeah.
and you have to break all these different things and find a button to move from one room to the other.
Right.
I was in a room, Dean, I'm not joking you, for an hour and a half. I was so frustrated. I'm like, this is a child's game. It says on there like 5 and up.
Yeah.
How am I not understanding how to do this? I broke everything in the room. I collected every coin. I stomped on everything I had to. It took me an hour and a half to figure out. It was, just boop, that little thing. That's why adults need to stop and think like children do, because kids don't overanalyze stuff.
Nope.
They just look at it. They're like, there it is. We're like, wait, hold on, hold. What about this, that? No, just keep it simple.
That's hysterical.
That was embarrassing for me.
You know, the really stupid thing is you could have just gone on Google and you could have just Google searched how to get out of that room and it had told you in like.
Okay, a lot of my friends used cheat codes back in the day. I hate that.
Cheat codes. I remember cheat codes. Yeah.
I don't do that. I will never use a cheat code because it takes away the fun.
Do you remember when there used to be the cheat code plugin?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Just plug into the game and it had the cheat codes preloaded. Like there was some real thought process going on there of like, hey, we're gonna help you out and be a better gamer. Yep. And I think it was at a time. Well, also at a time before internet, right? You couldn't just access information to find out something. You had to figure it out, or you had to get better at it, or whatever. But yeah, I remember when that was like. I remember when there were books about cheat codes and how to get
past. At Best Buy all the time.
Yeah, I mean, people used to buy the guidebook with the game, especially for games like Final Fantasy, which it's just so long and there's so many things that if you don't do it at that moment, you can't get 100% complete, right? And so you needed sometimes the ability to be like, okay, I got to make sure I do this, right, or whatever. And you know, we've talked about this before. Adventure was like the game I really loved on Atari, right? So sure. I think it stems from that, right? It's just like that whole idea of adventure gaming. It became what it is today, where you have. But I still have a thing where like if I'm going to invest in a game and it's like a 8-hour game, I won't do it. Like I definitely have for my dollar, how many hours of game time. Because otherwise I just can't handle it. Like that's why I like games like Badlands and Assassin's Creed and games like Far Cry, because you know that there's hours worth of entertainment there versus like, one day and you're like, oh, I solved it. Now it's got no replay value because I want to play the next game.
Right. I used to wait until holiday to buy games because I could get 4 or 5 games for $60-$80.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is I don't replay games because once I'm done, like I want to go to the next game. Like I have a stack of games waiting for me to finish Far Cry so I can go on to them. And like that's kind of how I do it. But yeah, I gaming I think is just, it's a world people don't even understand they're gamers because they might play a game on their phone and don't think they're a gamer. And the gaming world thinks you're a gamer.
Right.
You're just a casual gamer or a mobile gamer, which is a whole nother platform, right? So, but yeah, I it's pretty interesting, like where I have been from gaming beginning to where gaming is now, and the fact that now I can go game and I love to do things like Rocket League because I like to get on with people who have no idea who I am and then bash them and score goals with my car. My boys got me into Rocket League, so yeah, that's pretty cool. And then they're into Roblox, which is a whole nother new
That's
thing.
A whole different thing.
Cow. And you got to be careful too, right? When somebody put Squid Games into Roblox for kids, and my kids started telling me more about Squid Games than I even knew at the time. I was like, whoa, how
take a pause.
This happen? Like, oh, Dad, it's on Roblox. I'm like, what? So yeah, it's interesting too because the content is so much more accessible at a younger age. Like you really like if your kids are on Roblox, you gotta know what they're doing. Because there's some, but I will tell you that making little kids rage quit on Roblox can be fun sometimes. I haven't done that, but I mean,
of course not. But
if you have,
sure it's fun.
It can be kind of fun, especially in those what do they call those games? Where you I don't tycoons in some of the tycoon games. There's a Star Wars tycoon game I like because I like to sit outside some guy's base and just shoot him all the time until he quits.
That guy.
And I'm not giving my gamer tag, so you won't know it's me. But yeah, I'm that guy. It's the Dino and Joe Show. We'll be back. Hey, welcome back to the Dino and Joe Show. This is Dino. That man is Joe. You're not talking now?
I'm not. Is this?
You're just
Yeah.
like, what are you waiting for more?
Well, I
Like,
also didn't
did
come.
you need me to build that up a little bit more?
I just didn't. I didn't have anything clever or witty to say, so I just figured silence was better than saying something silly. Like
That's normal. We're just used to that.
well, you know what? Here, I will take this time to say hello
Yes.
to our wonderful fans in Sweden, the Netherlands, Japan, the United Kingdom, Greece, and of course here at home in the United States. Hi, everybody. Welcome. There you go. See? That was
Wow.
perfect.
That's very good.
We've expanded. Welcome.
We've expanded the podcast to
Yeah.
another country, so we feel pretty good about that.
We're slowly taking over Europe with our
And it's glacially slow at this point. Let's just be honest. Like it is slow. It's slow and steady wins the race kind of thing.
It is.
But yeah, it's molasses slow. It's molasses in January slow.
It is. It is. That's all right.
Yeah, good old Midwestern sayings. So yes, so it's awesome to see people from all over the world enjoying what we do. It's a little unusual, still kind of flattering and kind of humbling in a way to like realize is there somebody in another country who's like, hey, listen to these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, people here don't listen to us.
Right.
My own family doesn't listen to me. So
we have like 50 states. I think we only have been listened to in like 8 of them, whereas 2%, we have 2%, 2% of our listeners are from Sweden.
Yeah.
Like that's a solid 2. Others are like less than 1%, so it's like a little bit here, a little bit there, but like we got a solid 2% of Swedish listeners. Tag, everybody, tag, I say.
I don't even know what that is. Is that hello? What is that?
Hello. I think it's hello. I hope it's hello. Otherwise, I might be very offensive. Apologies if that's the case.
And we're down to 1%. So I wanted to talk about something, and I've totally forgotten what it is now as I was just saying that, which is kind of funny. But no, I haven't. I do remember what we're going to talk about.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good.
You're going like, ooh.
My dad is mini stroke right there. I'm not really sure.
And you're back.
Yeah, aneurysm. Hey, but so I want to talk to you about one of the things that I really enjoy, and a lot of people will not know this, but when I was a kid, and one of my first jobs, one summer was working in an amusement park, and I was a ride operator. And by the way, at 16 years old, I'm not sure that's the wisest job you give to a 16-year-old kid.
I was going to say, I would not feel comfortable there.
I used to run a rides at an amusement park outside of Des Moines, Iowa, called Adventureland in Altoona, Iowa. Cool. And it's a very old amusement park, been there forever. And the coolest ride was the Tornado, and that's the wooden roller coaster. Ooh. And I will tell you that it's pretty awesome. Like it's an old wooden roller coaster with manual brakes, right? And I used to run the whole thing, run the ride, right? It was the ride operator, and then I had assistants who did check the lock belts, right?
Yeah.
And all that stuff. And I will tell you, it was a lot of fun working there. They made the movie Adventureland later on, which is kind of funny because that's the place where I worked at. Oh, and awesome. But Adventureland was a lot of fun, and I love roller coasters. So it was great to be able to run the roller coaster because it was just so much more fun to understand how they work. But I'm a big roller coaster person. Now, my dad is a crazy roller coaster person who never hangs on. And literally, one of the first times I got on a roller coaster with my dad, he put his hands up in the air and he turned around and he talked to me the entire time on the roller coaster. I don't think he ever looked forward once. He's a nutball.
That's
But he loves them, and I've really inherited that. I love roller coasters. I think they're awesome. How about you?
It's a complicated relationship.
I just expressed my love of a thrill ride roller coaster, and your answer was it's a complicated relationship.
Okay, here's the thing. So when I was young, hated them. I hated it. I felt so bad because we went to, oh God, what is it? It's in Ohio. It's very well known.
Sandusky, Ohio. You went to
Cedar Rapids, Cedar Point.
No, Cedar Rapids is in Iowa. I used to live there.
You
went to Cedar Point. Yes.
Okay, Cedar Point.
It's called America's Roller Coaster.
There you go.
And it has some of the biggest, some of the fastest, some of the most intimidating roller coasters on the planet are all there, and they are awesome.
I went on like one of the mediocre ones, and I was like, and I felt so bad because my dad wanted to go on all of them, And he was like, "Come on, let's go." And I'm like, "You are crazy, old man. You're going on them yourself." So I made him go on like the scary ones by himself. There's the picture of him like, why the hell are
Right.
we here? So okay, let me tell you my issue with roller coasters.
Sure, please.
Here it is. Ready?
Yes.
The suspense going up. Not a
Yeah.
fan. Don't love it. And
Yep.
then it's that first drop. The first drop is my only problem. I hate that. I hate that part. Every other drop, I could corkscrew, I could loop, I could do anything else. Totally
Yes.
fine. The first drop. Once I get past that, let's make it happen. Now, I have just recently, as of January 2020, when I went to Disney World, found another thing I despise, which is launch coasters. Have you
Oh
ever been on a launch
yeah.
coaster? Yeah,
Absolutely.
that is the fear and speed of a drop, unexpected for me.
Isn't the
So,
Aerosmith coaster a launch coaster?
well, guess which one I'm just about to tell you a story. Okay, so
That was so good. I didn't know.
I'm
I think I've ridden
in
it
line.
too.
So what?
I think I've ridden it, so I
Okay,
should probably have known that better.
so Tiff and I are in Disney. We're having a great time, loving life. She tells me, "Hey, this is like one of the so Disney I love because they're scary coasters. It's a kid. It's not a kids park. That's a bad thing to say. It's a park that is meant for kids and adults to have
Yeah,
fun. So
sure.
they're not really scary coasters.
You know that all
This,
amusement parks are meant for kids and adults to have fun, right?
I mean, but like this one is meant for like the child and the child at heart, right? Like
The
there
child
are
that's in you.
yeah. So this one, she's like, "Hey, this one's definitely going to be scary. It's called a launch coaster. It just, woof, it makes you go." And I was like,
So she's warned you at this
She
point.
did. God love her, she did. Because if she didn't, I would never forgive her. It would be a big problem. So I'm nervous. I don't really want to go on it, but you know what? We're here. We're doing it. Let's make it happen. So we're going in line. We're waiting, and then we get to the part where we see everybody, and I see all these people get in,
Yeah.
and they're locked in,
Yeah.
and it's like, hey, we're heading downtown. The whole idea is it's Aerosmith. They're in a limo,
Yeah.
and they have to get to their show, so
Yeah.
they got to get there real fast. So they're
Absolutely.
going fast. So it's like there's a screen that you're looking at. It's like, hey, freeway's backed up. We got to take this way, and it's like, get
Yeah.
ready. And then it says, make sure your head's back because it's a
Oh
roller, it's
yeah.
a launch coaster. So that's gonna happen. So I'm watching these people, and I blink and they're gone.
Yeah.
You understand? Like I'm like, oh, that
I
looks
know.
like fun. Blink, gone. I'm like, oh, this is not good. So I start panicking. I don't do rides well. I went to Six Flags Great America in Gurnee, Illinois,
Yeah.
with people from work like 7 to 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. I freak out. I talk out loud very fast in lines on roller coasters. I'm like, I don't want to do this. Why are we doing this? What is this safe? Am I going to be able to fit on this? I'm very tall. I'm a larger man. So it's our turn. She's like, all right, we got to get in. So I get in, and I'm like, okay, we can do this. This is fine. I'm fine. I'm not paying attention to anything.
Yeah.
And I have probably one of the most unflattering photos of my life because I'm not prepared. I'm like, okay, and then it's like, and it just 60 miles an hour just
Watch
goes.
how you freeze on the earlier editions of
It's
this
just,
podcast.
but yeah, exactly. But this picture was somehow worse than all of the earlier editions of this podcast. Which, by the way, I never changed my internet, but it seems to be better for some reason. So let's
Yeah, I
just
don't know. Yeah,
knock
we'll
on wood.
just run with it.
But it just took off, and it was again after that first part, I was loving it. I enjoyed it. It's all under black light, super cool.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, you know what? Let's do it again. I'm gonna be ready.
Okay.
So a day or two later, we went back to Universal, or not Universal, Hollywood Studios in Disney. We get in line. I'm like, okay, I can do it. Now the picture of this one, I realize what's going on, and it's just
Right.
me going.
So
Like,
it's a little less.
it's not as embarrassing, but it is clear I still do not care for it. So that's I found out several different things that I don't care for roller. But again, it's that first dip, the Raging Bull
Yeah.
In Six Flags Great America,
Yeah.
Illinois. Oof, that a drop to me is like this, right? Like it's like a curve.
Right.
Raging Bull is like a straight down drop.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
ridiculous. Oh,
See, I'm very lucky because Sandusky's only 3 to 4 hours away, where
Okay.
Cedar Point is.
Yeah.
But we have Kings Island next to us down here in Dayton. It's in
I've heard
between
of
us
that.
and Cincinnati, and so they have amazing roller coasters as well with Beast. They used to have a roller coaster called Son of Beast, which was a wooden roller coaster with had a loop in it.
Oh,
I've ridden that, but that no
that
longer
sounds
exists.
terrifying.
Unfortunately, they had some problems,
Yeah.
and they ended up tearing it down.
Ooh,
But I did ride it; it was amazing.
okay.
And so I'm very lucky. But I will tell you, we went to Dollywood over the summer.
Oh,
Now, we love Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton is an America's sweetheart
I
and
love
is a
her.
national treasure.
Absolutely.
And we went and rode some of the rides there. And I will tell you, they have an amazing roller coaster that you will never want to get on because you go through the roller coaster and at the end it stops and then it goes backwards.
See, here's the thing.
Oh,
I think I'd be okay with that. I don't mind. Again, I'm fine with that. Once I get like the first drop, that's why I hate every roller coaster.
you build into the entire like reason of what they do with roller coasters to try and like make people scared of them. You know that, right? So
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
the hill anticipation and the
yeah.
click that you hear,
I get
that's
it.
actually the
It's
mechanics of the
mental. Yeah,
ride, but it's actually mental. It's actually, you know,
I get it.
made to make you anticipate, right? And that first hill is usually a dip and
Yep,
then the hill, and
yep,
that's to give you that feeling
yeah.
before
And I
you
hate it.
actually end up, yeah, that
So
you're supposed
once
to.
that's done, you can do whatever you want. We could do every drop
So
in imaginable, backwards,
are
forward,
you
sideways, upside down.
are you one of those people that hangs on and then after you get after the first hill, then you can raise your hands, or can you not raise your hands at all?
No, it depends on the ride. Depends. Like Raging Bull, that is a
Really?
grip. So, oh yeah, I can't. But like for instance, one of my favorite rides in Disney World, of all of Disney World in Animal Kingdom, is Expedition Everest. I will
Okay.
hands up that ride all day. Um,
It's so will every other 8-year-old that's on the ride.
exactly. Uh oh, oh, I just thought of a ride worse than all of the ones I just said. So this was back again when I was at Six Flags Great America. My friends forced me to get on the giant drop.
Oh, the one where it goes up and then
It just
holds
goes,
you and then
it's the stupidest thing ever. It's just
yeah.
falling. Why
It's an
why would
elevator
I want
fall,
to
yeah.
just fall? What is the point of that? So they
Did you
got
ride the
me on.
Tower of Terror when you were in
Okay,
Disney?
I'll lead into that. So
Okay.
I'm on giant drop. They
Yeah.
convinced me on.
I'm
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 floored.
surprised you got on that. I'll be honest with you, because you can see that one. That one you
It
know what's gonna happen.
it took a lot of convincing, and I just said, you know what, they're not going to stop bothering me. I'll do it once, and they're
Yeah.
like, we'll never ask you to do it again. Okay, so I get on there. I have people all around me. I'm like, okay, I am holding on to this bar so tight it's bending the metal. And then I'm like, nope. And then they get to the top, and I'm like, this is a beautiful view any other time, but I hate this. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I can't. I'm hurting my hand on the metal, so I grab both people on either side of me knees, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna happen. I just can't. And then we drop, and I'm reminded of a line from Ferris Bueller's Day Off where he says, if you took a piece of coal and
Yeah.
shoved it up Cameron's butt, in 2 weeks you'd have a diamond.
Right.
You wouldn't need to wait 2 weeks for me. It would be about 0.7 seconds. I've never had my entire body physically tense as tight as possible for the entire, I'm guessing, 2 seconds it was on the way down. Yeah, it was awful. So fast,
Diamonds by Joe.
you might want to wash them off first. Then let's fast
Oh.
forward, 8 years, January 2020, we're in Disney World. It's right next to the Rock and Roller Coaster, or right
Yeah.
near it, I should say,
Yeah.
is the Tower of Terror, right?
Tower of Terror, yeah.
So I'm getting into it and I'm freaking out because I'm thinking it's just going to be like the giant drop. It's going to be awful. It's
I know.
terrible. It's freaky.
Right.
But then I'm like, hold on, Joe, let's think about this. So I pull out my phone and I use the old
Jeez.
Google, and I'm like, how tall is the giant drop? And let's do it right now because I don't remember, but these numbers are very important. So we're going to go there.
These numbers are
They're
really
super
important to the
important
story.
because how tall is the giant drop
Mhm.
in Six Flags?
Let's see, 160 feet.
No, it is way more. 227. Okay.
Oh,
So it's 227 feet high.
okay. All right.
That's high. That's scary high. Okay. Now,
So
uh
20 stories ish. like a little
Yes.
bigger than that, a little taller than
So
20 stories.
now I was like, okay, how tall is the Tower Terror? Oh, I don't know how to spell terror. There it is. Terror in Disney. Okay.
Yeah.
This one is 199 feet. So it's
Oh.
already small. So literally, I don't know why that put me at ease. I was like,
Well, because you've
I
already
actually
done.
enjoyed it. I
Really?
had like the first one, I was like, oh, and then I was like, oh, okay, this is fun because it does it a
Yeah,
random number of
up and
times.
down,
You
up and
could
down.
ride it every day for the next 20 years. You'd never get the same two things.
Right.
And it's fun. It's exciting. So I actually enjoyed that one.
Okay, good.
I actually asked to go on it again later. But Rock and Roller Coaster, never again. Never again.
Did you get like a candied apple or like, after for being a
I
good
got a
boy?
Mickey's Premium Bar.
There you go, for being a good boy.
100%.
It's the Dino and Joe Show.